Hi Pisces, welcome to your May 2020 love reading. It's Raina here. So after I was interrupted, I decided to start over again. I hadn't gotten very far, but I was thinking to myself, oh man, I'm on a roll. And one of the things I said as I opened was that I got up this morning and I looked out the window and it was like snow. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought about that song by Prince, Sometimes It Snows in April. And Prince and I are both from the Midwest, so that's why that makes perfect sense and is relevant today. So I don't know what the weather is where you live, but this is what I'm dealing with in April. Okay. So the heart of the matter is the Seven of Pentacles, and it's always interesting to get Pentacles in love readings because, you know, you could keep it simplistic and just talk about money, 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 and, you know, how that interferes with relationships in one way or another. But this is actually, in this particular case, this is a farmer's card, the Seven of Pentacles. And you know, the number 7 is actually about a turning point, and that's kind of what this represents. You're investing in something. The farmer plants seeds and tends to his crops, you know, or the initial stages to see, is it going to bear, I was going to say bear fruit, but you know what I mean. Is it going to produce something that is tangible, that is something productive, you know, is my energy going in a productive place? So for sure we can say that with relationships. And by the way, this reading is intended for single people and those who are in troubled relationships, who are seeking guidance on whether or not to, you know, keep investing that energy into it. And obviously, a troubled relationship is a serious thing, and this is a YouTube reading, and you know, a person would be well served by maybe going to a marriage counselor, even by themselves, to kind of clarify what they're dealing with and whether there's a chance for a change to occur. But if you're just kind of like open to the idea, we can look at it. And I would say for sure, if you're somebody who is either married or in a committed relationship and you feel like you're giving and giving and there's no payoff, and it doesn't mean anything like I'm not getting, you know, what I want, you know, that kind of a diva attitude, but just like, you know, you feel like you're throwing something down a hole and it's just disappearing into the void. And, or maybe that's an exaggeration, but it just doesn't feel like that other person is contributing to the energy, not contributing, you know, not talking about finances or anything like that, but just contributing to whatever that relationship represents. And if you have, especially, you know, I feel like with the Seven of Pentacles, this is more, yeah, you know what? It's not so much a committed relationship, but getting up to that point. That's what I should clarify, because this is kind of like that turning point when you decide whether or not to continue or to just go back to being single altogether. And you know, so I would say this is more of a dating situation and not a committed relationship, because the investment is, you know, the payoff that you're looking for is really the committed relationship, not so much, you know, because once you're in a committed relationship, I mean, you're in very deep, so there's not really anything to wait for. But you know, maybe there are some committed people that identify with this card too. Yeah, you know, it's possible that you have worked on something, and, you know, even if you've been with somebody, because I see here in the past position, I don't really pay attention to the individual cards until I'm doing the reading. too much, but in the past position we have the Four of Swords, which is a card of rest, rejuvenation, maybe mental refreshment. I could even see for a committed relationship to be separated from that person so that you can clarify your feelings through your thoughts, that you don't have somebody imposing their ideas onto you. So somebody who's married who seeks a separation, for instance, so they can do this kind of deep, what do they call it, soul searching kind of a thing. But this is also even on the physical level. So one thing that I want to say about this is because I have been getting the Hermit card quite a bit, and I think I've gotten the Four of Swords more than once. And of course, you know, we have a global situation where people, not everybody, but a lot of people are being forced to stay at home a lot, and definitely are kind of not allowed to do certain things. So there's a lot of opportunity for this anyway, and maybe that's why I keep getting that card up, you know, and that this is kind of a catalyst for some of these things, because if you think about it, people who have difficult relationships can use work as a distraction. Even people who are single, this is something where you may have a tendency to kind of lose yourself in your work. And it's funny because I'm doing this for Pisces, this reading. I hope I said that at the beginning, because I'm starting to worry that I might have said a different sign. But Pisces, you're ruled by Neptune, which is one of the key words of Neptune is escapism, fantasy escapism, and things like that. So this is about, if you're single and you're looking, that are you willing to give something, are you willing to be patient and allow something to grow? But so there's more of like a sense of, to me, like the sign Taurus, which is one of the pentacles, one of the earth signs, and actually this sign. So I'm not talking about a person who's a Taurus, but that idea of what Taurus represents, which is about the ability to be patient and to wait. You know how they say, what do they say, the the early, well, actually I was going to say the early bird gets the worm, and I said that doesn't have anything to do. That, you know, the tortoise and the hare, you know, that kind of thing. That if you're going at a consistent, slower pace, like, you know, when you meet somebody, that I think ultimately will yield more success than if you just go hot and heavy with somebody right away. That doesn't mean it's going to be true 100%. Nothing is in life. Nothing is, you know, 100%. But just saying that if you have a tendency, in Pisces, you may have Mars in Aries. Excuse me, you may have Venus in Aries, because Aries is adjacent to you. So you may have inner planets in Aries, and that would make you more impatient, even though you're a Pisces. So looking at it from that perspective, and the higher message, the spiritual message, the bigger picture is the Five of Wands. And this is a card of combative energy, conflict. And again, I was talking about Aries. For some of you, this may be familiar from your past, from your childhood, where there was a lot of conflict, and you may think that conflict makes life juicy. This is kind of like Aries' motto, you know, that there's like, that it, you know, kind of like it adds spice to life. But really, it can be very incompatible. It can be a lot of problematic energy when you clash with somebody. So the bottom line is that if you find that you're involved in relationships where there's a lot of drama, okay, that's a perfect way of putting it, that you have, that should be a red flag for you instead of an attraction. And I feel like the Four of Swords can even be, for some of you, if you have had either a work situation or a relationship situation that was very taxing on you to the point where it depleted you and it actually physically affected you. And for Pisces is a very sensitive sign, and you're very sensitive to negative vibrations. So you're empathic by nature. So it's especially important for people like you to protect yourself and not surround yourself with people who have a tendency to be very aggressive and argumentative and who thrive on conflict. You know, those types of people. Because for other people that could irritate them, for you it could actually be quite disastrous. And you have to watch out for that. What crosses you is the Hierophant, and this is, this is associated with Taurus. And in terms of, what it could present as a obstacle or something like that, it could be like two extremes. Either that you have turned away from the spiritual completely. That almost sounds absurd, thinking about the sign of Pisces, which I consider the most spiritual sign. I mean, just inherently. But definitely, because there are some, I'm thinking of somebody I know, Moon in Aquarius, and very, probably an atheist. But that idea of, not being very, receptive to that kind of area in life, kind of like scoffing at it, being a cynic, and being like clinging to logic. Some of you may be like that, and that could be impeding you because it's not allowing your intuition to flow naturally as it would, as being a water sign, or that you have a religious system or background that is too, I would call it restrictive, and is keeping you kind of like locked in a certain mindset that prevents you from really going towards what feels natural for you. So for instance, if you have a conditioning from a religious background, I have to be married. These are traditional values. The Hierophant is about tradition, but also the religious indoctrination. That kind of thing, it's funny because those beliefs that relate to relationships that may be too restrictive and may not really work for you personally. Maybe at one time these belief systems were much more advantageous for society, but now they just don't work for some people. And trying, and being able to create your own belief system. It's funny, I hear the church bells ringing. It's perfect. This may be a Taurus person. Perhaps this is a Taurus person, and that's a central figure. And even if you're single, maybe there's a Taurian in your past. Taurus is a compatible sign with you overall, on paper at the very least, but that doesn't mean that every Taurus person is good for you. But here we have, this is very interesting, what's coming in are the advice, the Two of Cups. So yeah, maybe some of you who are single are, this is a card of commitment. So perhaps this is the other person even deciding whether or not the relationship is what they want, committing, assessing. Yes, it's possible that it could be you as well, that you're wondering if you should accept this commitment. Oh, the interesting thing, I didn't think about this with the Hierophant. Hierophant can also relate to marriage. So there may be something going on where if this is something that you want, it's not in the picture yet because you need that commitment, especially if you're involved with somebody who is with somebody else. Maybe you're like, okay, when is that person going, you're trying to be patient. When is that person going to finalize their divorce? Well, the last two cards I get are the Two of Cups, and then I get the Judgment card, which can be about a legal judgment. So perhaps that means that goes your way. Well, when I say goes your way, that you're able to, if it's you who's waiting for your current marriage to be annulled or voided, or whatever you call it when you get divorced, then that could say, hey, that's going to happen, or the other party. The other thing too about the Judgment card, it's a card of karma. It's about cause and effect. So if you're getting involved with somebody, and let's say that they have left another person for you, a marriage for you, or whatever, understand that if they were not open and honest with you at the beginning, that can definitely play into possible complications later on. Do you trust them? Will you be able to feel confident if they say, hey, I'm going to go out with the guys tonight? Are you going to say, hey, have a nice time, and feel completely confident? Or will you spend the night, twisting in knots, thinking, is he going to do to me what he did to his wife, his ex-wife? Am I going to be the next one that experiences this? Am I going to experience that karma? And that's just one possibility. But the other thing too is that the Judgment card is a card of rebirth. So you may feel that this relationship is, like I said, with the number 7, a turning point, where you finally have found somebody that really matches well with you. I certainly hope that is what this reading means to you, whether you're single or whether you're maybe getting out of a relationship, Pisces. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. If you would like a personal reading, the link to my online offerings is below. Take care. Bye.